r/askreddit. What is a good weakness to mention on a job interview?
Too being vague. Can you elaborate? Yeah? Yeah, edit. Wow. Was having a not-so-cool day but got here to see I got my first gold. Thanks, stranger. Now, to figure out what it does...
If you are changing industries, your biggest weakness is not knowing the industry.
Yeah. If you are younger, say inexperience. Anything to show your willingness to learn and develop?
This is the right answer. Then describe how past experiences can help you get over the learning curve with your inexperience.
Being able to admit weakness and knowing how to overcome it is the whole purpose of the question, I believe. Different people ask the question for different reasons.
Depends on the position, but I will sometimes say that I have trouble delegating when I know I can perform a task well. I'd rather just do it myself and know that everything will be done correctly. Thank you for the various precious metals. I realize this advice can backfire. That's why I said sometimes. There is also a way to phrase this that makes you sound better.
I was asked this during an interview with Uber, and I was completely caught off guard. I ended up fumbling and saying something along the lines of I cannot ride a unicycle, for which I immediately regretted.
When I was graduating college, I got interview tips from my dad, who was heavily involved in the hiring process at his company for his department. His advice on this one, which I've used ever since and has gone great, was the wholesale weakness that's actually a positive has been done to death and is such common knowledge that it's no longer a clever trick and is now seen as avoiding the question. People want to see some self-awareness. Obviously, don't bring something absolutely terrible up, but mention a real flaw and, most importantly, what you've done to address or work with it. For example, the one I tend to use is that I can be forgetful, so I now keep multiple sets of calendars, reminders, notes, etc. to cover as much as possible.
Honesty. I don't think honesty is a weakness. I, don't give a F what you think.
I need to say this in an interview before I die.
An excellent question, she said in reply. I'm usually drunk, and I'm frequently high. I waste all my time till the end of the day. I care about nothing. I'm here for the pay. I fake lots of sickness. I'm rarely on time. I use my computer for Netflix and Prime. I shirk every duty. I don't think ahead. I steal people's lunches from fridges, she said. I'm racist and ageist and sexist and mean and ageist and sexist and mean. A zealot, a bigot, and all in. Between. I'm dismal and totally dreadful, you see. He listened politely. He wrote, honesty.
For my current job, I said that I had a hard time sharing my ideas with new groups.
I said, I don't like letting go of unfinished projects during my interviews. I feel like it shows that I'm dedicated to the work I take on.
Be careful of humble brags. Some of them are overused. For example, I know some people say, I'm a workaholic as a weakness, and you'd think that would make you sound very hardworking, but it's been heard 1,000 times and is not unique or strong.
Why do you want to work here?
I'm terrible at interviews.
Weak against fire and sharp objects.
Underrated comment. We'd make pretty bad Pokemon. Weak to fire, water, electricity, grass, ice, rocks, the ground, steel, fighting, poison, flying, falling. If dragons, fairies, ghosts, and psychics existed, we'd probably be weak to them too. Some people are even additionally weak to bugs in the dark. There's nothing that we're actually good at.
My biggest weakness is that sometimes in interviews, I have absolutely no idea how to answer some of the questions. Thanks for popping my gold cherry, stranger.
What is your biggest weakness? Fucking this.
Pulls coconut out of bag.
Actual weakness. Taking on jobs by myself, not taking time to train other people to do them. In the end, I'm usually the guy and find myself feeling burnt out. Probably could be worded better at an interview, but this could sound like you're a go-doter. It might also encourage your employer to find opportunities for you to train other people to do things you particularly don't like doing.
Training people is a lot of work with little reward, and if things go south, you can get crap on if you didn't train them on this. I got burnt out training because you work hard to train them and they end up being flakes and not listening or listening to the wrong person. In my head, I am like, that's not how it's done. I also don't like bombarding new hires with info, so I get tight-lipped when someone that has been working for a while says something incorrect. It's rough.
I feel that. I'm a very hands-off trainer once we've gone through the basics. I'll let my trainees make mistakes and talk with them about it afterwards. To be clear, though, I am keeping an eye on them.
I printed out a card that says sometimes I over-prepare and handed it to them when they asked it. I got the job.
Frame it in terms of something you're looking to improve.
Well, at my last performance evaluation, I received some constructive criticism regarding X, so since then I've been doing I and Z to focus on improving in that regard. Honestly though, if an interviewer asks you that ridiculous cliched question, either they have no idea what they're doing and slash or don't give a crap, or they aren't looking for an answer but just want to see how you respond to being pushed.
I work in healthcare and always say not speaking Spanish, and odds are the interviewer is also not fluent in Spanish, so it comes across as not really a weakness. Win-win.
I have a hard time saying no.
What is your greatest weakness? Your mum, probably that. I've no strength.
My weakness is I can get too focused on a task trying to perfect it and waste time trying to get a 96 to a 96 to a 97 when 90 is acceptable. On the blueprints they say there is a plus-minus tolerance of 3 milliliters for my measurements. That is way too huge, and I insist on trying to get it down to at least 1 millimeters.
My big D is always getting caught on things and knocking things.
I always say that my biggest weaknesses are the ones I don't know about yet, because the ones I do know about I can, and do, work to improve on. And then I segue into a conversation about how I take criticism very well and am always open to suggestions for ways in which I can improve my performance.
Eczema.
Figure out a skill that's not required for the job you are applying for, but is required for the job 2 promotions above that job. Then say it's your big weakness, but that also you are looking to learn and develop that skill from people who are strong at it. Alternatively, if you're far enough along in your career that you have had several promotions and have reports/people to delegate to, you can say you were never as good as other people at the leathery job level must do. Someone below your job level must do.
Asbestos.
In my most recent interview, got the job, I answered, I don't like to stay late. I'll come in half an hour early at the drop of a hat. But if you tell me I'm off at 4 and then work conspires to try to keep me longer, I will not be staying. Work stops at 4, period. Depending on the job and culture, this can break your chances of getting the job, but pretty much anyone can sympathize with not wanting to stay later, and it doesn't come off as one of those smart, as I'm a perfectionist answers. It also tells them that you probably won't be racking up that expensive overtime.
Big ass titties.
As someone who interviews hundreds of people each year, this question stumps almost every person asked. The worst responses are, I have trouble being on time, I'm argumentative, I don't get along with it. I also don't think disguising strengths as weaknesses is a good idea either. The best response I think I have heard, besides not being able to ride a unicycle, is, I make mistakes, but I am only human. I am sure I will make some mistakes along the way learning the ins and outs of this position, but as soon as I know I made a mistake, I try to fix it immediately and make sure it doesn't happen again. Just my 2 cents.
I hate this interview question. I interview candidates every few months. This is a totally useless question. The field I interview for usually has passionate people, so instead I ask of all the aspects of doing a joy the most. Which part of this process do you enjoy the most? Nobody is nervous about this question. Gives me some insight into what they want to be working on, where they think they are strongest, and what would make them happy and productive V's board.
Random off topic. But I once had an interviewer ask me if you were an item on the salad bar, what would you be and why? Which I replied, shredded cheese because I'm full fat and straight off the block. They absolutely loved the answer and thought I was a quick thinker. But alas, I'm just frequently thinking about cheese.
One of my actual weaknesses. When I get nervous/excited, I tend to speak really fast and breathlessly. This can actually have a negative influence on my job as I work in healthcare and have to respond/communicate during emergency. For my next interview, I will bring this up and say I have discovered that taking a second to collect myself and take a deep breath seems to calm my nerves and allow me to do/say what is needed in a more collected manner.